The evening air had a bite to it as Marcus Hayes guided his daughter Lily through the crowded Boston sidewalk. His calloused hand enveloped her small fingers, steadying her against the rush of pedestrians heading home for the night. Above them, the illuminated sign of Westbrook Restaurant cast a golden glow across their faces, a beacon of elegance that had drawn them from their modest neighborhood across town. "Remember what we talked about?" Marcus asked, kneeling to straighten the collar of Lily's blue dress, the one Rachel had sewn before the cancer took her 3 years ago. Best manners, napkin in lap, small bites. Lily recited the instructions with solemn precision, then grinned, revealing the gap where her front tooth had been. "I practiced with my teddy bears all week, Daddy." Marcus's chest tightened. 3 months of saving every spare dollar from his construction job and late-night shifts bussing tables had culminated in this moment. $247 for one special birthday dinner. Lily deserved this small piece of normal childhood magic after everything she'd lost. The morning had started with the familiar knot of anxiety in Marcus's stomach as he'd checked his phone. Another warning from the bank. 2 more missed mortgage payments, and they'd begin foreclosure proceedings. He'd tucked the notification away, forcing a smile as Lily bounded into the kitchen wearing her best dress and the handmade pendant she'd crafted in art class. Crooked letters spelled "Brave" across the small clay disc hanging from a simple cord around her neck. "Ready for the most special 8-year-old birthday dinner in Boston?" he'd asked, pushing aside thoughts of bills and foreclosure notices. Now as they approached the restaurant's heavy glass doors, Marcus hesitated. Through the windows he glimpsed white tablecloths, crystal chandeliers, and patrons in tailored clothes that cost more than his monthly utilities. A flash of doubt made him pause. Did he belong here? Would they see through his department store blazer to the construction worker beneath? "Are we going in, Daddy?" Lily tugged at his hand, her eyes wide with excitement. Marcus squared his shoulders. "Absolutely, Princess. We have a reservation and everything." The interior of Westbrook was even more intimidating up close. Marble floors that amplified every step of his worn dress shoes, waiters gliding between tables with practiced precision, the soft notes of a piano creating a soundtrack of refinement. Marcus approached the host stand, consciously straightening his posture. "Reservation for Hayes, 7:30. The hostess, a young woman with perfect makeup and a practiced smile, glanced at her screen, then looked up at Marcus. Her eyes performed a quick assessment, lingering on the scuffs of his shoes and the slightly frayed cuff of his shirt. Her smile remained in place, but something flickered behind it. "I see." Her manicured finger scrolled through her tablet. "Unfortunately, Mr. Hayes, it appears that table has been given away." Marcus frowned. "There must be some mistake. I confirmed this morning." "System error, perhaps." The hostess's voice cooled several degrees. "We're fully committed this evening. Perhaps a more," she paused, searching for words, "casual establishment would better suit your needs." Lily's hand tightened in his as Marcus felt heat rising to his face. Before he could respond, laughter drifted from a nearby table. Pointed, deliberate. A man in an expensive suit leaned toward his companion's, voice pitched just loud enough to be overheard. "This isn't a place for people like that." Marcus's jaw clenched. He'd faced this before. The subtle and not-so-subtle reminders of social boundaries. Usually he let it slide, focused on earning his paycheck and getting home to Lily. But tonight was different. Tonight was for his daughter. "I made this reservation weeks ago," Marcus said, keeping his voice steady. "We're celebrating my daughter's birthday." A manager appeared, slender with slicked back hair and a permanent half-smile that never reached his eyes. His name tag read Stephen. "Is there a problem?" Stephen asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer and was merely performing for his audience. "No problem," Marcus said quickly. There seems to be some confusion about our reservation. Stephen folded his hands in front of him. Well, we do have certain standards at Westbrook, a dress code policy. I'm afraid your attire doesn't quite meet our requirements. Marcus looked down at his clean-pressed clothes, the best he owned. I wasn't informed of any dress code when I made the reservation. It's understood, Stephen replied smoothly. Westbrook maintains certain standards. We serve a particular clientele. More laughter rippled from nearby tables. A phone emerged from someone's hand angled toward them. Marcus felt his face burning as Lily pressed against his leg, suddenly shy under the unwelcome attention. "Daddy," Lily's small voice cut through the humiliation. "It's okay. We can leave." Her eyes were wide, not with disappointment for herself, but with worry for him. "We can have mac and cheese at home. I like mac and cheese." Those simple words pierced Marcus's heart more deeply than any insult. His 8-year-old daughter was trying to protect him, to comfort him. A child should never have to shoulder an adult's humiliation. Marcus nodded, swallowing hard. "Okay, Em. We'll go somewhere else." He turned, guiding her toward the door, determined to salvage something of the evening. Perhaps the diner 3 blocks over would have room. The food wouldn't be fancy, but at least they'd be treated with basic respect. They had taken just 2 steps when a sharp sound cut through the restaurant's ambient murmur, the decisive scrape of a chair against marble. The restaurant fell silent as all eyes shifted to the source. At the VIP table near the window, a woman had risen to her feet. Tall, commanding, dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that radiated authority. She moved with purpose, navigating between tables with the confidence of someone accustomed to controlling rooms. Dark hair framed sharp features, and her expression was unreadable as she approached. Catherine Bennett. Even Marcus recognized her, the tech entrepreneur who had built Bennett Technologies into a multi-billion-dollar empire. The Ice Queen of Silicon Valley, according to business magazines. Her face occasionally appeared on financial news segments or business journals, always with headlines touting another acquisition or innovation that had expanded her wealth and influence. Stephen's expression shifted from smug satisfaction to sudden wariness as Catherine stopped directly in front of him. "What's happening here?" Her voice was calm, but carried an undercurrent of steel. Stephen straightened. "Ms. Bennett, we were just explaining our policies." "What policies?" Catherine let the question hang in the air. "Our dress code, the reservation system." Stephen's confidence faltered under her steady gaze. "I see." Catherine looked from Stephen to Marcus and Lily, then back again. "I'm wearing a suit. This gentleman is wearing clean-pressed clothes. His daughter is wearing a lovely dress for her birthday." Her tone remained conversational, but her eyes had hardened. "What specifically is the problem?" The restaurant had gone utterly silent. Even the piano player had paused. Stephen cleared his throat. "We maintain a certain atmosphere for our guests, a level of sophistication that—" "Atmosphere," Catherine repeated, as though testing a foreign concept. "You mean you judge people by their bank accounts instead of their character?" Stephen's face flushed. "Ms. Bennett, I assure you, cancel my reservation." Catherine's interruption was calm but absolute. The hostess blinked. "I'm sorry. You heard me." Catherine turned to Marcus and Lily. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Lily looked up, surprised at being addressed. "Lily," she whispered. "Lily. That's a beautiful name." Catherine crouched slightly, meeting Lily at eye level. "Is today your birthday?" Lily nodded. "Then you deserve better than this." Catherine straightened and faced Stephen again. "Set up a table for 3. Your best table." Stephen's eyes widened. 3? "Yes. I'll be dining with Mr. Hayes." Marcus supplied, still processing what was happening. Marcus Hayes, with Mr. Hayes and his daughter. Catherine's tone made it clear this wasn't a request. Ms. Bennett, Stephen lowered his voice. The other guests might feel uncomfortable if, then they can leave. Catherine cut him off, voice carrying just enough for nearby tables to hear. Or they can stay and remember what basic human decency looks like. She turned to Marcus and extended her hand. Not down to him, not as charity, but as an equal. Catherine Bennett, would you and Lily join me for dinner? Marcus stared at the offered hand. This morning he'd been a construction worker about to lose his home. Now Catherine Bennett, worth billions according to the financial press, was standing up for him and his daughter against the very kind of exclusivity that had built her world. It made no sense. But Lily was looking up at him with a tentative smile returning to her face. Whatever Catherine's motives, she'd rescued their evening. That was enough for now. Marcus took her hand. Thank you. That's very kind. Within minutes, the entire atmosphere of the restaurant had transformed. A table materialized in the center of the dining room. Waiters who had previously ignored them now hovered attentively. Water glasses appeared, bread baskets, menus presented with flourishes. Throughout it all, Catherine maintained a composed demeanor, as though orchestrating such disruptions was a regular occurrence. The surrounding tables buzzed with whispered conversations and not-so-subtle glances. Phones captured the moment for social media. Some diners looked embarrassed, suddenly conscious of their earlier laughter. Others appeared annoyed, as if an unspoken rule had been violated. A few gathered their things and left, making their displeasure known with loud sighs and glares. Lily sat wide-eyed between them, still clutching her brave pendant. Order whatever you like, Catherine told them, not bothering to look at her own menu. The lobster here is excellent. And Marcus shifted uncomfortably. That's very generous, but I insist. Catherine's tone was warm, but left no room for argument. It's a birthday celebration after all. When the waiter arrived, Catherine ordered a selection of dishes without hesitation. Lobster, thermidor, wagyu, beef truffle, risotto. Marcus recognized none of the names, but could tell from the waiter's reactions that each was more expensive than the last. After the waiter departed, an awkward silence settled over the table. Marcus struggled for appropriate small talk. What did one discuss with a billionaire CEO who had just witnessed your public humiliation? Lily, unencumbered by adult self-consciousness, broke the ice. Do you like birthdays, Ms. Catherine? Catherine's expression softened, professional mask slipping for a moment. I do, though I don't celebrate them much these days. That's sad, Lily declared with childlike directness. Birthdays are the best days. Perhaps you're right. Catherine's smile reached her eyes for the first time. And what do you usually do on your birthday, Lily? As Lily launched into a detailed account of past birthday adventures, Marcus observed their unexpected dinner companion. Catherine Bennett was younger than she appeared in business photos, early 30s perhaps. Up close, he could see faint shadows beneath her eyes, testament to long hours and heavy responsibilities. Though she maintained a perfect professional appearance, something in her manner struck him as isolated, lonely even. The first course arrived, and Lily's eyes widened at the elaborate presentation. Marcus guided her through the unfamiliar cutlery, grateful for the cooking shows he sometimes watched during late-night insomnia. How long have you been raising Lily alone? Catherine asked during a lull in the conversation. Marcus hesitated. The question felt invasive, yet her tone held genuine interest rather than pity. 3 years. My wife Rachel passed when Lily was 5. Cancer. I'm sorry. Catherine's response was simple, sincere. Thank you. Marcus nodded toward Lily, who was carefully cutting her food into precise, tiny squares. We manage. You do more than manage, Catherine observed. You're raising a remarkable young woman." Lily looked up surprised at being discussed. "I'm not remarkable. I'm just Lily." Catherine's laugh was unexpected, warm and genuine. Sometimes the most remarkable people don't realize how special they are. As the meal progressed, Marcus found himself relaxing despite the surreal circumstances. Catherine proved a surprisingly attentive listener, drawing Lily out with questions about school and friends, showing real interest in her answers. When Lily mentioned her love of soccer, Catherine revealed she'd played competitively through college. "Really?" Lily's eyes lit up. "Daddy says I'm getting pretty good. I scored 2 goals last week." "That's impressive." Catherine nodded seriously. "Forward position, midfield," Lily corrected, clearly, pleased to have found common ground. The conversation flowed more naturally than Marcus would have expected, given the gulf between their worlds. Catherine spoke of her company's latest technological innovations in terms Lily could understand, never condescending or showing impatience with childish questions. Then Lily asked the question that changed everything. "Do you have a mommy, Ms. Catherine?" Marcus winced. "Lily, that's personal." "It's fine," Catherine interrupted, setting down her fork. For a moment she was silent, and Marcus thought she might deflect the question. Instead, her professional veneer slipped further. "I did have a mother," she said finally. "She died when I was young, about your age, actually." Lily's expression grew solemn. "Like my mom." "Yes." Catherine's voice softened. "We didn't have much money. My father left when I was a baby. Mom worked 3 jobs to keep us fed, cleaning offices at night, waitressing during the day, sewing clothes on weekends." Catherine paused, something flickering across her face, a memory clearly painful. "One night she wanted to do something special. It was my 7th birthday. She'd saved for months to take me to a nice restaurant. Not this nice, but nicer than we were used to. We got dressed in our best clothes. She wore this yellow dress she'd made herself." Catherine's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "The restaurant manager took one look at us and said we weren't welcome, said we didn't meet their standards. My mother tried to explain that she had a reservation that she'd saved for this. He didn't care. He called security." Marcus felt a chill of recognition. Lily had stopped eating, her attention completely focused on Catherine. "As we were being escorted out," Catherine continued, "my mother bent down and whispered to me." She looked directly at Lily, voice quiet. She said, "It's okay, honey. We can leave." The table fell silent. Marcus's throat tightened as Lily's eyes widened with recognition. "She said what I said?" Lily whispered. "Yes," Catherine nodded. "Almost exactly. And it broke my heart then, just like it broke your father's heart tonight. Because children shouldn't have to comfort their parents. They shouldn't have to pretend everything is okay when the world is being cruel." The vulnerability in her voice was raw and unexpected. Then, as if realizing she'd revealed too much, Catherine straightened, professional composure returning. "I made a promise that night. If I ever had power, if I ever had money, I would never let that happen to anyone else. I would never stand by and watch someone be humiliated for being poor." Catherine's phone buzzed on the table, another in a series of messages she'd been discreetly ignoring throughout dinner. She glanced at it, then turned it face down. "My mother died when I was 12, she said, resuming her story. "Working the night shift, cleaning offices. Heart attack from exhaustion. After that, I was in foster care until I turned 18. "I didn't know," Marcus said quietly. The media portrayal of Catherine Bennett never mentioned this background. "Few people do," Catherine replied with a slight shrug. "It doesn't fit the Ice Queen narrative. After college, I built my company from nothing. Every success, every milestone, I dedicated to her. But somewhere along the way, I forgot that promise I made. I became so focused on success, on power, that I stopped seeing people, really seeing them. She looked at Lily, something softening in her expression. Until tonight, until I heard those exact same words again. Lily studied Catherine for a moment, then reached into her small purse and pulled out a notebook and stubby pencil. She began drawing with intense concentration, tongue caught between her teeth. After a few minutes, she pushed the paper across the table. The drawing showed 3 stick figures standing together, a tall woman in a suit, a man and a little girl between them. All were smiling. Above them in crooked letters were the words, "New Friends." Catherine stared at the drawing for a long moment, then carefully folded it and tucked it into her jacket pocket. "May I keep this?" Lily nodded, pleased. "I'll make you more if you want." "I would like that very much," Catherine said, her voice uncharacteristically gentle. For dessert, the kitchen prepared a chocolate soufflé with 8 candles. The entire restaurant sang happy birthday to Lily, perhaps not entirely from goodwill, but the gestures were made nonetheless. Lily blew out the candles, eyes closed tight for her wish, and the restaurant erupted in applause. As the evening wound down, Marcus checked his watch. "It's getting late, and Lily has school tomorrow." "Let me drive you home," Catherine offered, already signaling for the check. "That's not necessary," Marcus began. "I insist," Catherine said, her tone making it clear further protest would be futile. Outside, her driver waited with a sleek black car. As they settled into the plush leather seats, Lily's eyes grew heavy. The emotional evening had clearly taken its toll. She leaned against Marcus's shoulder, struggling to stay awake. "Your address?" Catherine asked quietly. Marcus hesitated, then gave her the location of their modest home in a working-class Boston neighborhood. As they drove, Catherine kept her gaze on the passing city lights, allowing him privacy in what he knew must feel like an admission of his circumstances. "I meant what I said in there," Catherine said after a while. "Your daughter reminded me of something important tonight." "What's that?" Marcus asked. Catherine turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "That dignity should never depend on dollars. That we're all just people trying to make our way through this world, some with advantages, some without, but all deserving of basic respect." The car stopped in front of Marcus's home, 2-story white with blue trim, small but well-maintained despite its peeling paint and uneven porch steps. The foreclosure notice was visible through the window where he'd left it on the kitchen counter. Marcus gently woke Lily. "We're home, Princess." As they exited the car, Catherine remained seated, but rolled down her window. "Marcus, I have a proposition for you. A business proposition. Would you be willing to meet with me tomorrow?" Marcus's suspicion immediately flared. "What kind of proposition?" "One that honors your wife's memory," Catherine said. "And my mother's." Seeing his expression, she added, "It's absolutely not charity. It's a partnership I think could benefit us both." After a moment's consideration, Marcus nodded. "Where and when?" "My office, 1 o'clock." She hesitated. "I'll send a car. I can take the bus," Marcus interrupted. "Just give me the address." Catherine smiled, seeming to appreciate his independence. "Bennett Technologies, downtown, the glass building on State Street. Ask for me at reception." As the car pulled away, Marcus stood on the sidewalk. Lily's hand in his, wondering what had just happened. Beside him, Lily yawned. "I like her, Daddy," she mumbled. "She's like a princess, but stronger." Marcus smiled. "A warrior princess." "Yeah," Lily nodded sleepily. "Like me." Inside their small home, Marcus tucked Lily into bed. As he kissed her forehead, she whispered, "Best birthday ever," before drifting off to sleep. Marcus sat at the kitchen table afterward, staring at the foreclosure notice. 2 months behind. The construction job wasn't steady. The restaurant where he bussed tables had cut his hours. He'd been selling his tools one by one to make ends meet. Now this mysterious meeting tomorrow with one of the most powerful women in America. He should feel hopeful, but all he felt was wary. People like Catherine Bennett didn't just help people like him without expecting something in return. What could she possibly want from a construction worker on the verge of losing his home? Across town, Catherine sat in her penthouse office, the city lights of Boston spread below her like a carpet of stars. On her desk lay Lily's drawing placed beside the photo of Elena Bennett she always kept nearby, her mother in a simple yellow dress, smiling despite the exhaustion evident in her eyes. Catherine opened her laptop and began searching. First, for information about Marcus Hayes, learning about his construction background, his volunteer work at a local community center, despite his own struggles, his wife's battle with cancer. Then she researched Westbrook Restaurant, finding other incidents of discrimination, cleverly disguised as policy. Finally, she looked into property records confirming her suspicions about Marcus's home. Her phone buzzed again. The board chairman, Robert Chambers. Decision needed on merger by Friday. 4,000 jobs at stake. Numbers look good. Recommend proceeding. The proposed acquisition would increase shareholder value by eliminating redundancies, corporate speak for mass layoffs. It was the kind of deal she'd made dozens of times before, each one expanding her empire without regard for the human cost. Catherine stared at the message, then at Lily's drawing, then at her mother's photo. For the first time in years, the choice felt clear. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. Exploring alternative strategy. Will present Friday. Trust me. The unfamiliar sensation in her chest took a moment to identify. It wasn't ambition or determination, her usual driving forces. It was purpose. Real purpose beyond profit margins and market share. For the first time since her mother died, Catherine Bennett felt like she was keeping her promise. The next morning, Marcus woke before dawn as usual. He made Lily's lunch, started breakfast, and laid out her clothes. As coffee brewed, he stared out the window, thinking about the previous night. Part of him wanted to skip the meeting with Catherine, pride and suspicion wrestling with hope and necessity. But something in her eyes when she talked about her mother had felt genuine. He decided to go, but on his terms. No charity, no pity. After dropping Lily at school, Marcus headed to his construction job. The foreman, Tony, greeted him with a smirk. Heard you had quite a night, Hayes. Saw you trending on Twitter with Catherine Bennett. What did you do, save her life or something? Marcus's co-workers gathered around, curious. The viral photos had spread faster than he'd anticipated. Just a misunderstanding at a restaurant, Marcus said, grabbing his tools. Nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about, Tony laughed incredulously. You have dinner with the CEO of Bennett Technologies and it's nothing. Come on, man. Details. Marcus tightened his tool belt. There's work to do, Tony. Let's focus on that. Throughout the morning, Marcus felt his phone vibrating with notifications. Friends, acquaintances, even his landlord had seen the social media posts. By lunchtime, he'd turned his phone off completely. At noon, he cleaned up, changed into his least worn shirt, and headed downtown. Bennett Technologies' headquarters was a gleaming glass tower, intimidating in its sleek modernity. Inside the vast marble lobby, Marcus approached the reception desk, acutely aware of how out of place he looked among the well-dressed professionals hurrying past. I'm here to see Catherine Bennett, he said. Marcus Hayes. The receptionist's eyes widened slightly in recognition, another indication of how far the previous night's story had spread. Yes, Mr. Hayes. Bennett is expecting you. 17th floor. The elevator ride gave Marcus time to study his reflection in the polished doors, worn jeans, faded button-up shirt, work boots. He'd cleaned up as best he could, but there was no disguising who he was. a blue-collar worker in a white-collar world. When the doors opened, Catherine's assistant was waiting. "Mr. Hayes, please follow me." He was led through an open workspace where dozens of employees pretended not to stare, then into a large corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor. Catherine stood looking out at the view, still as a statue. When she turned, her expression was carefully neutral. The businesswoman once again, rather than the unexpectedly vulnerable dinner companion. "Marcus, thank you for coming. Please sit." She gestured to a sleek conference table rather than her imposing desk. Marcus sat back straight, determined to maintain his dignity whatever this was about. "I appreciate you making time," Catherine began. "I know you're a busy man." "Not as busy as you, I'd imagine," Marcus replied carefully. "Different kinds of busy," Catherine acknowledged with a slight smile. "I'll get straight to the point. After meeting you and Lily last night, I did some research. I hope you don't mind." Marcus tensed. "What kind of research?" "I looked into your background, your construction experience, your community service despite your own circumstances. I also looked into your financial situation, the foreclosure notice on your home." Marcus's jaw tightened. "That's private information." "It's public record," Catherine corrected gently. "I'm not trying to embarrass you, Marcus. Just the opposite." She slid a folder across the table. "I want to establish a foundation. The Rachel Hayes Foundation, named after your wife, if you'd permit it. Its purpose would be to help single parents who are struggling financially while raising their children alone." Marcus stared at the folder without opening it, sudden wariness making him cautious. "And what would this have to do with me?" "I want you to run it," Catherine said, watching his reaction carefully. Marcus's eyes snapped up to meet hers. "What?" "You have first-hand experience with the challenges. You understand the struggle in ways I never could despite my own background. I can provide the funding, the resources, the connections, but you would be the heart of it, the authentic voice and vision." Marcus shook his head, struggling to process her offer. "I don't have any experience running a foundation. I swing hammers for a living." Catherine leaned forward. "You're more than your job title, Marcus. You're someone who's navigated impossible circumstances with dignity and resilience. You've raised a remarkable daughter while working multiple jobs and facing financial ruin. You've maintained your humanity and compassion when many would have become bitter. That's exactly the perspective this foundation needs." Marcus sat back overwhelmed. "Why me? Why not professional charity? Some people with degrees and experience." "Because they haven't lived it," Catherine said simply. "They haven't had to choose between paying for electricity or buying school supplies. They haven't worked 3 jobs and still shown up for their child's school play." "You have." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "This isn't charity, Marcus. It's a job. A real job with a real salary, benefits, and purpose. You'd be helping families like yours, families who just need support to get back on their feet." Marcus's mind raced. The construction work was destroying his body. The late-night shifts were stealing time with Lily, and the foreclosure notice sitting on his kitchen counter gave him less than 60 days before they'd be homeless. "I'm not looking for a handout," he said firmly. "I'm not offering one," Catherine countered. "I'm offering a partnership based on mutual respect and complementary strengths." She pulled out her phone, showing him an email. "And there's something else. I'm buying Westbrook Restaurant." Marcus blinked in surprise. "You're what?" "Buying it," Catherine repeated calmly, "and transforming it. New management, new policies. A place where everyone is welcome, regardless of their financial status. A portion of the revenue will support the foundation." Marcus studied her, looking for the angle, the hidden motive. "Why are you doing this?" "You don't know me. You don't owe me anything." Catherine was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. "When I heard Lily say those words, The exact same words my mother said to me. It was like hearing my own childhood echo across decades, a reminder of who I used to be, who I promised to be. She walked to her desk and picked up a framed photo, bringing it to the table. This is my mother, Elena Bennett. She cleaned office buildings at night, including this very building, long before I owned it. She worked herself to death trying to give me a better life. And somewhere along the way, I forgot that. I became exactly the type of person she warned me against. The photo showed a young woman with Catherine's eyes wearing a simple yellow dress, her smile bright despite the evident exhaustion in her posture. "Last night wasn't just about you and Lily," Catherine admitted. "It was about me remembering my promise, about rediscovering my purpose beyond profit margins." Marcus studied the photo, seeing the parallels between their stories, despite the vastly different outcomes. "I still don't understand why me. There must be thousands of single parents in Boston alone." Catherine's lips curved in a small smile. "Call it fate or coincidence, or simply good timing. But I believe people come into our lives for reasons, even if those reasons aren't immediately clear." She gestured to the folder. "Take this home. Read it. Talk to Lily if you want. The foundation will impact her life too. Whatever you decide, the offer stands." Marcus stood tucking the folder under his arm. "Thank you for the opportunity. I'll think about it." Catherine walked him to the door. "One more thing, Marcus. Whatever happened last night meeting you and Lily, it changed something in me. For that alone, I'm grateful." As Marcus rode the elevator down, his phone buzzed with a text from Lily's school. "Lily involved in altercation with classmate. Please come as soon as possible." Marcus's heart raced. Lily never got into trouble. He rushed from the building folder still clutched under his arm and caught the first bus to Lily's school. In the principal's office, he found Lily sitting alone, her eyes red from crying, her brave pendant clutched tightly in her small fist. "What happened?" Marcus asked, kneeling beside her chair. Lily sniffled. "Madison was showing everyone pictures from last night. Pictures of us at the restaurant. She said we were charity cases, that you were only talking to Ms. Catherine because she felt sorry for us. I told her to stop lying, but she wouldn't stop Daddy." Marcus closed his eyes briefly, anger washing through him. "Did you hit her?" Lily shook her head. "I just yelled, really loud, in the cafeteria." The principal, Mrs. Patterson, entered the room. "Mr. Hayes, thank you for coming so quickly." "What happened?" Marcus asked, standing protectively beside Lily. Mrs. Patterson sighed. "Several students were sharing social media posts about your encounter last night. Comments were made that upset Lily. She had what we'd call an emotional outburst." "An emotional outburst," Marcus repeated flatly. "You mean she defended herself against bullying?" "We take bullying very seriously, Mr. Hayes. The other student has also been disciplined." Marcus put his hand on Lily's shoulder. "My daughter isn't in trouble for standing up for herself. We're leaving." "Mr. Hayes, there's a protocol. Send it in writing," Marcus interrupted. "Lily, get your backpack. We're going home." Outside the school, Marcus crouched to Lily's level. "You did nothing wrong, Lily. Nothing. Those kids don't understand what happened." Lily wiped her eyes. "Is it true what they're saying, that Ms. Catherine was just being nice to us because we're poor?" Marcus shook his head firmly. "No, she was being nice to us because she's a good person who saw others being mean, just like you'd do for someone, right?" Lily nodded slowly. "And nobody's using anybody," Marcus added. "That's just silly talk from kids who don't understand." They walked home together, Marcus having decided they both deserved the afternoon off. As they approached their house, Marcus was surprised to see a familiar black car parked out front. Catherine stood on the sidewalk looking uncharacteristically uncertain. "Catherine." Lily broke away from Marcus and ran toward her. Catherine knelt to receive Lily's hug, clearly surprised by the enthusiastic greeting. "Hello, Lily." Marcus approached more slowly. "This is unexpected. Catherine stood looking slightly self-conscious, an expression that seemed at odds with her powerful persona. Your phone was going straight to voicemail. I wanted to make sure you got home safely with the folder, and I realized I forgot to give you something. She reached into her bag and pulled out a business card with her personal cell number written on the back. In case you have questions about the proposal. She glanced at Lily's tear-stained face, then at Marcus. Is everything all right? School trouble, Marcus said. Kids can be cruel sometimes. Catherine's expression darkened. About last night, Lily looked down at her shoes. I'm so sorry, Catherine said, genuine regret in her voice. I should have considered the consequences. The social media attention. Not your fault, Marcus assured her. Kids find any reason to be mean. Lily stood up for herself, though. Catherine smiled at Lily. That's because she's brave, just like her pendant says. Lily touched her handmade necklace. I made it in art class. It's beautiful, Catherine said, and very accurate. Marcus hesitated, then made a spontaneous decision. Would you like to come in? It's not fancy, but I can make coffee. Catherine looked surprised, then pleased. I'd like that very much. Inside their modest home, Catherine took in the surroundings. Worn but comfortable furniture walls covered with Lily's artwork and photos of her with Marcus and Rachel. It was small but immaculately clean, every surface gleaming with care, despite the obvious age of everything in it. While Marcus made coffee, Lily insisted on showing Catherine her room. He could hear them talking, Lily's voice animated, as she described her favorite books and toys. When they returned, Catherine's normally perfect hair was slightly mussed, and she wore a plastic tiara. Princess Tea Party, she explained, looking both embarrassed and delighted. They settled at the kitchen table with coffee for the adults and hot chocolate for Lily. The foreclosure notice still sat on the counter, impossible to miss in the small space. Catherine pretended not to notice it. I've been thinking about your proposal, Marcus said after a moment. And Catherine tried to look professional despite the tiara perched on her head. I have concerns, Marcus said, legitimate ones. I'd expect nothing less. Catherine nodded. What are they? Marcus glanced at Lily, who was blowing on her hot chocolate. First, this feels fast. We just met last night. Second, I know nothing about running a foundation. And third, I worry about the optics. Rich woman rescues poor man. Makes both of us look like characters in a story instead of real people. Catherine finished for him. Exactly, Marcus agreed. Catherine considered his concerns, removing the tiara and setting it gently on the table. For the first, yes, this is fast, but some opportunities are time-sensitive. Your house situation creates a certain urgency that can't be ignored. She met his gaze directly. For the second, you'd have support, training, a team. You wouldn't be doing this alone. And for the third, she paused. I understand that concern better than you might think. The press will spin whatever narrative gets the most attention, but we can control how we present this partnership if we're thoughtful about it. Lily looked up from her mug. What's optics mean? How things look to other people, Marcus explained. Like how Madison thought Ms. Catherine was just being nice because we're poor, Lily asked. Yes, Marcus nodded. Like that. Catherine leaned forward. Lily, can I ask you something? When your dad helps someone, is it because he feels sorry for them or because he thinks it's the right thing to do? Lily didn't hesitate. Because it's right. Daddy always says we help because we can't because we have to. Catherine smiled. That's exactly how I feel too. She turned back to Marcus. This foundation isn't about me saving you. It's about us saving others. Together. Equal partners with different strengths. Marcus studied her face, searching for deception or ulterior motives. He found none, only earnest determination and something else he couldn't quite identify. Hope, perhaps. I have one condition, he said finally. Whatever this foundation becomes, it has to be real. Not a tax write-off, not a PR stunt, something that actually helps people who need it. Agreed, Catherine said immediately. 100% agreed. And I need time with Lily, Marcus added. Regular hours. No galas or fancy events that take me away from her more than necessary. Completely reasonable, Catherine nodded. You set your own schedule. Standard business hours. No weekends unless there's an emergency. She smiled at Lily. Your dad needs to be at your soccer games and school plays. That's non-negotiable. Lily beamed. You can come too if you want. Catherine looked touched by the simple invitation. I'd like that, if your dad doesn't mind. Marcus finally opened the folder, examining the contents. The proposed structure of the foundation, the salary, which was more than fair, the benefits, the mission statement. Everything was meticulously prepared, suggesting Catherine had worked on it through the night. I need to sleep on it, Marcus said honestly. But I'm interested. Catherine contained her obvious pleasure at his tentative acceptance. Of course. Take all the time you need. My offer stands. As she prepared to leave, Lily gave her another hug. Will you come back soon for another princess tea party? Catherine glanced at Marcus, who nodded. I'd be honored, Lily. Perhaps this weekend. Outside, as Catherine walked to her car, Marcus followed. Thank you. Not just for the job offer, but for last night. For showing Lily that there are still good people in the world. Catherine paused, something vulnerable flickering across her face. I should be thanking you both for reminding me of who I used to be, who I want to be again. She hesitated, then added, Oh, and Marcus. The board of my company is pressuring me about a merger, one that would eliminate thousands of jobs. After meeting you and Lily, I've decided to reject it, to find another way. Marcus's eyes widened. That's a big decision. Catherine smiled. The biggest I've made in years, and the first one that's felt completely right. As her car pulled away, Marcus stood on the sidewalk watching until it disappeared around the corner. Something had shifted in the universe. He could feel it. Daddy, Lily looked up at him. I like Ms. Catherine. She's not what I expected. Marcus squeezed her hand. How so? Lily considered this carefully. She's fancy on the outside, but normal on the inside. Like us, but backwards. Marcus laughed at the insightful observation. That's pretty perceptive, kiddo. Are we going to work with her? Help other families like ours? Marcus looked at the folder in his hand. I think we might be. Would that be okay with you? Lily nodded enthusiastically. More than okay. Rachel would be proud. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Lily rarely mentioned her mother by name. She was right, though. Rachel would have loved this, the chance to help others to make a difference. That night, after tucking Lily in, Marcus sat at the kitchen table reviewing the folder contents more thoroughly. His phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. No pressure, but if you decide to accept, I've already contacted your bank about the foreclosure. Consider it an advance on your first year's salary. Either way, your home is safe. Marcus stared at the message, emotions warring within him. Gratitude, suspicion, relief, pride. Before he could respond, another text came through. This isn't charity. It's an investment in my foundation's future executive director. Can't have you distracted by housing concerns while we're trying to change the world. Despite himself, Marcus smiled. He typed back, Thank you. I'll have an answer for you tomorrow. 2 weeks later, Marcus settled into his new office in a recently renovated space in downtown Boston. The Rachel Hayes Foundation was taking shape faster than he could have imagined. Catherine had moved with remarkable efficiency, securing the location, filing the legal paperwork, and assembling a small initial support staff. His desk, unlike Catherine's minimalist glass workspace, was warm wood with a framed photo of Lily and Rachel prominently displayed. The wall behind him featured Lily's drawings, including the original New Friends sketch that had started it all. A television mounted on the wall played a news broadcast. Marcus turned up the volume as Catherine appeared on screen, standing before reporters outside Bennett Technologies headquarters. The headline crawler read, "Bennett rejects billion-dollar merger, stocks plummet." In business, we often conflate growth with success, Catherine was saying, her voice steady despite the aggressive questioning. True success isn't measured in quarterly reports. It's measured in lives improved, communities strengthened, and a company culture that values people over profit margins. This merger would have eliminated 4,000 American jobs. I refuse to build my company's future on broken dreams and destroyed livelihoods. Your shareholders are furious, a reporter shouted. The stock is down 17% this morning alone. How do you justify this decision? Catherine didn't flinch. Some values aren't negotiable. If that costs us in the short term, so be it. I'm playing the long game. The screen split to show financial analysts debating her decision. Most predicted disaster for Bennett Technologies, using terms like corporate suicide, and suggesting Catherine was having some kind of breakdown. Throughout it all, Catherine's expression remained calm and determined. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from her. "How's the first day going?" "Watching you on the news," he replied. "Are you okay?" Three dots pulsed, then, "Never better. Finally sleeping at night." "You..." Marcus glanced at the stack of applications from single parents seeking assistance. The need was staggering. Medical bills, childcare costs, housing insecurity. Each story resonated with his own struggles. Overwhelmed by the need out there, but in a good way. "We're going to help a lot of families." At noon, his assistant Amanda knocked on his door. "You've got visitors." Marcus looked up, surprised to see his former construction crew, Tony, Derek, and James, standing awkwardly in the doorway, hard hats in hand. "Thought we'd check out your fancy new digs," Tony said, though his expression carried a hint of resentment. "Pretty nice upgrade from the construction site." Marcus stood genuinely pleased to see them despite the undercurrent of tension. "Come in, guys. What brings you downtown?" The three men exchanged glances before Derek spoke. "Landlord's selling our building. Everyone's getting eviction notices. 30 days to clear out. Wanted to see if your foundation might help some of the families." Marcus's smile faded. "How many families are we talking about?" 17 units, James said quietly. "Most single parents or elderly folks. Nobody can afford market rate in this city anymore." Marcus grabbed a notepad. "Give me the details. Names, situations, immediate needs. We'll start processing emergency housing assistance today." Tony shifted uncomfortably. "That's great, but some of the guys are wondering why you didn't bring any of us with you. You know to this new gig. We thought maybe you forgot about us once you hit the big time." The accusation stung. These men had supported Marcus through Rachel's illness, covered his shifts when Lily needed him, loaned him tools when he had to sell his own to pay medical bills. "I've been here 2 weeks, Marcus said carefully. "Still figuring things out myself. But you're right. I should be bringing in people who understand the struggle firsthand. Let me talk to Catherine about expanding the team." Tony's expression softened slightly. "So this is for real? Not just some rich lady's pet project to make herself look good." Marcus gestured to the wall of applications. "This is as real as it gets. We've already approved emergency assistance for 12 families this week alone, and we're just getting started." The men toured the office, skepticism gradually giving way to cautious optimism. Marcus introduced them to the staff, showed them the outreach materials, explained the application process. By the time they left, Tony had given Marcus a list of skilled tradespeople who needed work, single parents with valuable skills but limited opportunities. "I miss working with my hands," Marcus admitted as he walked them out. "Office work is new territory for me." James clapped him on the shoulder. "You're building something important here, man. Different kind of construction, but still building." After they left, Marcus stared out the window at the city below. His former colleague's visit had triggered an idea. What if the foundation didn't just provide financial assistance, but also job creation? Skilled tradespeople, teaching their crafts to others in need, building a network of services and opportunities. He began sketching the concept, so absorbed that he nearly forgot his afternoon meeting with Catherine. At Bennett Technologies, Marcus found the atmosphere tense. Employees whispered in corners, glancing nervously at Catherine's office. The stock ticker displayed in the lobby showed the company down nearly 20%. Security had been increased, a response he learned to death threats Catherine had received after the merger announcement. Catherine's assistant ushered him in without delay. She sat behind her desk looking simultaneously exhausted and energized. "Sorry about the chaos," she said, gesturing to the security guard positioned outside her door. "It's been an interesting week." "Interesting seems like an understatement," Marcus observed. Catherine waved dismissively. "The board is in panic mode. Shareholders are threatening lawsuits, the usual corporate tantrum when someone prioritizes ethics over quarterly profits." Despite her cavalier tone, Marcus noticed the strain around her eyes. "Are you sure this is worth it?" Catherine's gaze shifted to the photo of her mother. "Some prices are worth paying, even high ones." She straightened in her chair, shifting to business mode. "How's the foundation progressing?" Marcus shared his experiences from the morning, including the visit from his former colleagues and his idea for a job creation initiative. Catherine listened intently, taking notes, asking insightful questions. She approved additional funding for the housing crisis Derek had identified, and enthusiastically supported expanding the team to include more people with lived experience. "This is exactly why you're perfect for this role," she said when he finished. "You see opportunities and connections I would miss entirely." As their meeting concluded, Catherine's assistant interrupted with urgent news. "Mr. Chambers is here with the executive committee. They're demanding an immediate board meeting." Catherine sighed. "Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes." Robert Chambers, chairman of Bennett Technologies board, stood in the reception area with 5 other executives, all wearing identical expressions of barely controlled fury. His gaze fell on Marcus' assessment, turning quickly to dismissal. "So this is the construction worker who's inspired our CEO's sudden crisis of conscience," Chambers said, voice dripping with disdain. Catherine stepped between them, her voice dangerously quiet. "This is Marcus Hayes, executive director of the Rachel Hayes Foundation, and you will show him the respect he deserves, Robert." Chambers' smile didn't reach his eyes. "Of course, forgive me, we're all a bit on edge today watching millions in shareholder value evaporate because of a charitable impulse." Catherine's expression remained neutral. "Marcus, we'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Thank you for coming." Marcus recognized the dismissal but hesitated. "Are you going to be okay?" Something flickered in Catherine's eyes. Surprise at his concern, perhaps appreciation for it. "I've weathered worse storms than angry old men in expensive suits." As Marcus left, he heard Chambers' voice rising. "This foundation is clearly a distraction. The board is calling for an emergency vote of no confidence, Catherine. This isn't personal. It's fiduciary responsibility." Marcus paused in the lobby, watching the stock ticker continue its downward slide. He couldn't help feeling partially responsible. If Catherine lost her company because of the stand she'd taken, a stand inspired by meeting him and Lily, could he live with that? That evening, Marcus and Lily sat at their kitchen table eating takeout Chinese food. Marcus had picked Lily up from her after-school program, a luxury his new job's regular hours afforded. No more missing dinner. No more leaving her with neighbors while he worked night shifts. The quality time was priceless, but Lily seemed subdued. "You're quiet tonight," Marcus observed, passing her the container of fried rice. "Something happened at school." Lily pushed the food around her plate. "Madison's still being mean. She says you're Ms. Catherine's charity project, that you only got your job because she felt sorry for us." Marcus set down his fork, choosing his words carefully. "Do you believe that?" Lily shook her head. "No, but some of the other kids do. They say things changed for us because we got lucky, not because you worked hard." The injustice of it made Marcus's chest tight. For years, he'd worked himself to exhaustion, 3 jobs, endless overtime, selling possessions to cover bills. Now that things were finally improving, the narrative was being twisted. "Luck had nothing to do with it," Marcus said firmly. "Ms. Catherine recognized something in us that night. Dignity, resilience, integrity. Values that matter more than money. She didn't give me this job out of pity. She gave it to me because I understand what our foundation's families are going through. We're helping her as much as she's helping us." Lily seemed satisfied with this explanation, but the conversation lingered in Marcus's mind long after she went to bed. Was it true? Or was he just rationalizing to protect his pride? Catherine was risking her entire company for principles that hadn't seemed to matter to her before meeting them. What if Madison was right? His phone buzzed with a news alert. "Bennett board calls emergency meeting, CEO, position in jeopardy." The article detailed how major shareholders were demanding Catherine's resignation following the rejected merger. Analysts predicted she would be forced out within days. Marcus drafted and deleted several messages to Catherine before finally settling on, "Just saw the news. Is there anything I can do?" Her response came hours later, past midnight. "The foundation is legally separate from Bennett Technologies. Whatever happens with the board, your position and funding are secure." Marcus stared at the message, so carefully crafted to reassure him, yet saying nothing about her own situation. He responded, "I'm not worried about my job. I'm worried about you." The 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times before her answer came through. "That might be a first. Most people are only worried about what I can do for them." The vulnerability in those words struck him. Catherine Bennett, the ice queen of Silicon Valley, was facing the potential loss of everything she'd built, and her concern was for the foundation and its mission, not herself. The next morning, Marcus arrived at the foundation office earlier than usual. He spent an hour researching Bennett Technologies, its board members, major shareholders, and the details of the rejected merger. The more he learned, the clearer the picture became. Catherine had indeed sacrificed billions in potential profit to save thousands of middle-class jobs. The alternative strategy she'd proposed would be more sustainable long-term, but wouldn't deliver the immediate returns investors craved. Amanda interrupted his research. "Mr. Hayes, there's a situation downstairs you should know about." Marcus followed her to the lobby where dozens of people had gathered, former employees of companies that had previously been gutted by Bennett Technologies' aggressive acquisition strategy. They carried signs supporting Catherine's recent decision, sharing stories of communities devastated by mass layoffs after corporate takeovers. A news crew was interviewing a middle-aged woman. "When Bennett acquired our company 5 years ago, they eliminated my entire department. 2,000 jobs just gone. My husband had passed away the year before. I had 3 children to support. We lost our home, had to move in with my elderly parents. Now I'm hearing Ms. Bennett rejected a similar deal to save jobs. I honestly never thought I'd see the day." Marcus watched from the sidelines, struck by the irony. The very business practices that had built Catherine's fortune, the ruthless efficiency that had earned her the Ice Queen nickname, were exactly what she was now rejecting. The foundation office had become a symbol of her transformation. His phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. Don't come to the Bennett building today. Security situation. Board meeting at 2 p.m. will determine everything. Marcus replied immediately. Have you seen the gathering at the Foundation people whose lives were affected by previous Bennett acquisitions? They're supporting your current stand. Catherine's response was simple but revealing. Bitter irony. The very people I hurt are now my only supporters. An idea began forming in Marcus's mind. What if these voices could be heard where it mattered? He approached the news crew. I'm Marcus Hayes, Executive Director of the Rachel Hayes Foundation. Would you be interested in hearing how this foundation came to exist? The reporter recognized him from the viral restaurant photos. You're the construction worker who had dinner with Catherine Bennett, the one who inspired all this. Marcus grimaced at the oversimplification but nodded. There's more to the story, a lot more, and it relates directly to what's happening at Bennett Technologies today. Within minutes, Marcus found himself on camera explaining the connection between that night at Westbrook, the foundation's creation, and Catherine's business transformation. He emphasized that the foundation was only one aspect of a larger ethical awakening, that the rejected merger represented Catherine's commitment to valuing people over profit. We think of corporate leaders as one-dimensional, either ruthless profit seekers or bleeding heart philanthropists, Marcus explained. Catherine Bennett is showing that you can evolve, that you can acknowledge past mistakes and make different choices moving forward. Isn't that what we want from our business leaders? The capacity to grow, to develop a conscience, to place long-term social good above short-term gains. The interview went viral almost immediately. Marcus's eloquent defense of Catherine, combined with testimonials from the gathered crowd, created a compelling narrative of redemption and ethical awakening. By noon, the hashtag #StandWithCatherine was trending nationwide, with former employees, community leaders, and everyday citizens voicing support for her rejection of the merger. At the foundation office, Marcus received an unexpected visitor, Stephen Crawford, the former manager of Westbrook Restaurant, who had humiliated Marcus and Lily that fateful night. Stephen looked markedly different, his designer suit replaced by more modest attire, his arrogant bearing diminished. I saw you on the news, he began awkwardly. Wanted to speak with you directly. Marcus crossed his arms. What could you possibly have to say to me? Stephen's gaze dropped to the floor. I was fired, obviously. Blacklisted in the restaurant industry after Ms. Bennett made an example of me. You made an example of yourself, Marcus countered. Nobody forced you to treat people with contempt. Stephen flinched at the blunt assessment. You're right, that's actually why I'm here. To apologize, not for losing my job, I deserved that, but for how I treated you and your daughter. It was inexcusable. The sincerity in his voice gave Marcus pause. This wasn't the same arrogant man from the restaurant. Why the change of heart? Stephen hesitated. After I was fired, I couldn't find work. Savings ran out. My wife left. I ended up sleeping in my car for 3 weeks before swallowing my pride and moving in with my elderly mother in her assisted living apartment. I learned what it's like when people look through you instead of at you, when your clothes and circumstances determine your worth. Marcus studied him, searching for deception and finding none. That sounds incredibly difficult. It was educational, Stephen admitted. Humbling in ways I needed. I saw your interview just now talking about people's capacity to change. I want to believe that's true for me too. Marcus considered him thoughtfully. What exactly are you looking for here, Stephen? Not a job if that's what you're thinking. Stephen shook his head. Just forgiveness, maybe. And to know if your daughter is okay. Kids can be cruel when circumstances change suddenly. I know my behavior might have affected her. The mention of Lily softened Marcus's resolve. The man standing before him seemed genuinely transformed by his experiences. Lily is resilient. She's adjusting well. Stephen nodded, relief evident in his expression. Good. That's good to hear. He turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I think what Ms. Bennett is doing now, with the foundation, with the merger, is extraordinary. I hope the board doesn't punish her for finding her conscience. Marcus checked the time after Stephen left, 1:45 p.m. Catherine's board meeting was about to start. On impulse, he grabbed his jacket and headed for the Bennett Technologies building. The plaza outside Bennett Technologies headquarters had transformed into something resembling a rally. Hundreds of people had gathered, employees worried about Catherine's fate, community members supporting her ethical stand, even a group of single parents who'd received assistance from the foundation. News vans lined the street, broadcasting live updates. Marcus tried the main entrance but was stopped by security. He texted Catherine, "I'm outside. Let me in. I think I can help." No response came. The board meeting must have already begun. Marcus scanned the crowd, spotting a familiar face, Robert Chambers' assistant, whom he'd met during his visits to Catherine's office. "Nicole, right?" He approached her. "I need to get upstairs. It's important." Nicole recognized him but shook her head. "Mr. Hayes, I can't." Mr. Chambers gave strict instructions. "No one enters the building during the board meeting." Marcus held her gaze. "Catherine stood up for me when no one else would. I need to return the favor, please." Something in his expression must have convinced her. Nicole hesitated, then swiped her badge. 5 minutes. Service elevator in the back. It bypasses the main security checkpoint. Marcus slipped through the crowd to the service entrance. The elevator required a key card, but as he stood contemplating his next move, the doors opened. Catherine's assistant stood inside. "She thought you might try something like this," the assistant said with a small smile. 17th floor, hurry." In the boardroom, Catherine faced the assembled board members and major shareholders alone. Marcus watched through the glass wall as she presented charts, gestured to projections, argued passionately for her vision. The expressions around the table remained stone-faced, unmoved by her appeals. "It's not going well," the assistant whispered. "Chambers has the votes to remove her as CEO. They're just going through the motions before the official vote." Marcus scanned the room, noting the array of wealthy, powerful individuals who held Catherine's fate in their hands. People who had never missed a mortgage payment, never had to choose between medicine and food, never worked 3 jobs just to keep the lights on. "What if I spoke to them?" Marcus suggested. As someone who understands the impact of their decisions on real people, the assistant looked doubtful. "They don't care about impact. They care about returns." "Maybe they need to be reminded that companies don't exist in a vacuum," Marcus countered. "That every business decision affects real lives." Before she could respond, the boardroom door opened. Robert Chambers emerged, surprised to find Marcus waiting. "Mr. Hayes, this is a closed meeting. You'll have to leave." Behind him, Catherine appeared, eyes widening at Marcus's presence. "Marcus, what are you doing here?" Chambers' expression hardened. "Security will escort you out." Marcus stood his ground. "Before they do, may I address the board as someone directly affected by your decisions?" Chambers scoffed. "This is a business matter, not a charity consultation." "Actually, it's both," Catherine interjected. "Marcus represents the foundation, which is now a major initiative of Bennett Technologies' corporate social responsibility program. His perspective is relevant." Chambers hesitated, clearly calculating the optics of forcibly removing Marcus with media camped outside. 5 minutes, not a second more. Inside the boardroom, Marcus faced 20 pairs of eyes regarding him with varying degrees of curiosity, disdain, and impatience. He felt acutely out of place in his department store suit among their bespoke attire, but the feeling only strengthened his resolve. "My name is Marcus Hayes," he began. 3 weeks ago, I was working construction by day and bussing tables at night to make ends meet. Today, I run a foundation that's already helping dozens of families like mine. Single parents struggling to provide for their children while maintaining their dignity. He moved to the window, gesturing to the crowd below. Those people down there, they're not protesting because they hate business or wealth. They're supporting a leader who finally recognized that profit and purpose aren't mutually exclusive, that companies can thrive financially while still considering the human cost of their decisions. A board member interrupted. Very inspiring, Mr. Hayes, but Bennett Technologies exists to create shareholder value, not to solve social problems. I understand that. Marcus nodded. But have you considered that your definition of value might be outdated? The merger Catherine rejected would have delivered short-term gains at the expense of long-term sustainability. 4,000 jobs eliminated, communities devastated. And for what? A temporary stock bump that would evaporate once the next quarter's targets loomed. He turned to Catherine, who watched him with an unreadable expression. When I met Catherine Bennett, I thought she embodied everything wrong with corporate America. Wealthy, disconnected, indifferent to the struggles of ordinary people. I was wrong. She had the courage to remember where she came from, to reconnect with the values her mother instilled in her. That's not weakness. That's the kind of leadership that inspires loyalty, innovation, and sustainable growth. Catherine's eyes glistened slightly at the mention of her mother. Mr. Hayes. Another board member spoke up. While your personal story is touching business decisions can't be based on sentimentality. It's not sentimentality, Marcus countered. It's sound business strategy. The public narrative around corporations is changing. Consumers, especially younger ones, demand ethical practices. They support companies that demonstrate social responsibility. Catherine isn't just doing the right thing morally. She's positioning Bennett Technologies ahead of an inevitable market shift. He picked up the quarterly report sitting on the table. Your own numbers show that companies with strong ethical practices outperform their peers over time. Lower employee turnover, stronger brand loyalty, better risk management. By rejecting this merger, Catherine isn't sacrificing profits. She's securing your company's future. Robert Chambers checked his watch. Your time is up, Mr. Hayes. Marcus held his ground. Before I go, ask yourselves this. Do you want to be remembered as the board that punished a CEO for developing a conscience, or the visionaries who recognized that business can be both profitable and purposeful? The world is watching. Your decision today will define Bennett Technologies for years to come. He turned to leave, pausing briefly beside Catherine. I tried. I hope it was enough. Catherine squeezed his hand quickly. More than enough. Thank you. Outside, Marcus joined the crowd, watching the building's upper floors where decisions about Catherine's fate were being made. An hour passed. Then 2. The crowd grew rather than dispersed, their presence a silent testimony to Catherine's impact. Marcus's phone finally buzzed with a text from Catherine. Decision made. Coming down now. The crowd parted as Catherine emerged from the building, flanked by Robert Chambers and several board members. For a moment, Marcus couldn't read her expression. Then she smiled, a genuine, relieved smile that transformed her face. I remain CEO of Bennett Technologies, she announced, her voice carrying across the plaza. The board has approved my alternative strategy for growth, one that prioritizes ethical business practices alongside profitability. The crowd erupted in cheers. Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. Catherine caught his eye across the crowd, mouthing a silent "thank you," before turning to address the press. Chambers approached Marcus as Catherine fielded questions. That was quite a speech in there, Hayes. Surprisingly effective for a construction worker. Marcus met his gaze steadily. I've built things all my life, Mr. Chambers. Some with hammers and nails, some with words and ideas. The principles aren't so different. Solid foundation, structural integrity, vision of the final result. Chambers studied him with newfound respect. Catherine was right about you. You see things differently. That's valuable in its way. The foundation's profile rose dramatically following the Bennett Technologies board showdown. Applications poured in, but so did offers of support, volunteers, corporate partnerships, additional funding. Marcus's impassioned defense of Catherine played repeatedly on news channels, casting both of them in a compelling light. The CEO rediscovering her moral compass, and the working-class father helping her navigate a new path. A week later, Catherine arrived at the foundation office with a comprehensive plan that integrated their work with Bennett Technologies' new corporate direction. "I want to expand nationally," she explained, showing Marcus her vision. "Open offices in major cities, partner with local organizations, create a model that other corporations can adopt." Marcus studied the proposal, impressed by its scope and ambition. "This is, bigger than I imagined." Catherine's eyes lit with determination. "Go big or go home right. But I need someone who understands both worlds, corporate and community. Someone who can translate between them." "Someone like me," Marcus realized aloud. Catherine nodded. "Exactly. I want to create a new position, Chief Community Officer at Bennett Technologies. You'd oversee both the foundation's expansion and help shape our corporate social responsibility initiatives. The board has already approved the role and the budget." Marcus's mind raced with possibilities and concerns. "What about the Boston Foundation office, the families we're already helping?" "Amanda would be promoted to Boston Director," Catherine explained. "She's more than capable. You'd take on the national vision, the big picture." Marcus paced the small office. "This would mean travel. Time away from Lily." Catherine had clearly anticipated this objection. "Limited travel. Video conferencing for most meetings, and a flexible schedule that prioritizes your time with Lily. That's non-negotiable." Still, Marcus hesitated. "Why me? There must be dozens of corporate executives with more experience. And not one of them would question me the way you do," Catherine countered. "Not one would remind me of the human impact of our decisions. You keep me honest, Marcus. That's worth more than an MBA or a fancy resume." The offer was tempting, a chance to scale their impact to help thousands of families instead of dozens. But Marcus had built his life around being present for Lily, especially after losing Rachel. "I need to talk to Lily first," Marcus said finally. "This affects her too." Catherine nodded, understanding. "Of course. Family comes first. Always." That evening, Marcus and Lily sat in their backyard on a swing set Catherine had mysteriously arranged to have installed the previous week. The small yard had transformed gradually over the past month. New grass-flowering plants, a patio set where they ate dinner on warm evenings. "Ms. Catherine wants me to take a bigger job," Marcus explained as they swung gently side by side. "I'd still run the foundation, but for the whole country, not just Boston. I'd help more families like ours." Lily pumped her legs, swinging higher. "Would we have to move?" "No," Marcus reassured her. "We'd stay right here. But I might have to travel sometimes. Not often, but sometimes." Lily considered this. "Would I come with you?" "For school breaks, yes," Marcus nodded. "But not during school weeks." Lily slowed her swinging. "Would you miss my soccer games?" "Never," Marcus promised. "That's part of the deal. I'd make sure my schedule worked around your important stuff." Lily jumped off at the height of her swing landing with practiced ease. "Then you should do it, Daddy. Help more kids have dads who can come to their games and stuff." Marcus marveled at her simple wisdom. 8 years old, and already she understood what mattered. Not titles or salaries, but presence, security, love. "You're sure?" Marcus pressed. "It would mean changes." Lily shrugged. "We've had lots of changes, good ones lately." She skipped to the patio, then turned back. "Besides, you like working with Ms. Catherine, don't you?" The question caught him off guard. Did he, the woman who had initially seemed cold and calculating, had revealed depths of compassion and courage he hadn't expected? They challenged each other, pushed each other to be better. Their different perspectives created something neither could achieve alone. "I do," Marcus admitted. "We make a good team." Lily smiled knowingly with a child's intuitive perception of unspoken truths. "I think so too." The next day, Marcus arrived at Catherine's office with his decision. He found her in a heated phone conversation pacing by the window. "No, Stephen, that's not acceptable," she was saying firmly. "The new Westbrook will be affordable for everyone. I don't care about profit margins. This is about creating a model that works for the community, not just wealthy diners." She noticed Marcus and held up one finger, continuing her call. "We're reimagining what a restaurant can be, not just redecorating the same exclusionary space. Start over. Bring me a plan that actually reflects our values." She ended the call with a sigh. "Stephen Crawford. I hired him as a consultant for the Westbrook redesign. Thought his perspective might be valuable given his transformation." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Brave choice." Catherine shrugged. "Second chances matter. His experience of falling from privilege to poverty gives him unique insight, if he can translate it properly." Marcus recognized the parallels to his own situation. Catherine valuing lived experience over traditional qualifications. It reinforced his decision. "I'll take the position," he said simply, "with two conditions." Catherine gestured for him to continue. "Hugh, first, my schedule remains built around Lily's needs. School events, activities, normal dinner times," Marcus listed. "Second, the Boston office maintains autonomy to continue helping local families without bureaucratic delays." Catherine extended her hand. "Done and done. Welcome aboard, Chief Community Officer Hayes." As they shook hands, the dynamic between them shifted subtly. Still a partnership, but with new dimensions of mutual respect and shared purpose. Something else lingered beneath the surface, something neither was quite ready to acknowledge. Catherine broke the moment, turning businesslike. "We should celebrate. Dinner tonight, the three of us." Marcus smiled. "Lily would love that. She's been asking when you'd come for another princess tea party." Catherine's professional demeanor cracked with genuine delight. "I've been practicing my royal wave." That evening, Catherine arrived at Marcus's house with an armload of groceries. "I thought we might cook instead of ordering in." "If that's okay," Marcus stared in surprise. "You cook?" Catherine looked mildly offended. "Of course I cook. My mother taught me. We couldn't exactly afford personal chefs when I was growing up." In the kitchen, Catherine moved with unexpected confidence, chopping vegetables and seasoning chicken with practiced ease. Lily appointed herself assistant chef, following Catherine's instructions with solemn concentration. Marcus watched them together, the powerful CEO and his daughter discussing the perfect amount of garlic with profound seriousness, and felt something shift in his chest. This was what normal felt like, what family felt like. The realization both warmed and terrified him. As they sat down to eat, Lily regarded their creation proudly. "We should do this every week. Family dinner night." Marcus caught Catherine's eye across the table, searching for discomfort at Lily's presumption. Instead, he found something softer, more vulnerable than he'd ever seen in her expression. "I'd like that," Catherine said quietly. "Very much." Later, after Lily had gone to bed, Marcus and Catherine sat on the back patio with glasses of wine. The evening was cool, but pleasant stars emerging in the darkening sky. "Thank you," Catherine said suddenly, "for what you did at the board meeting. No one's ever defended me like that before." Marcus shrugged. "You did the same for me at Westbrook. I was just returning the favor." Catherine shook her head. "It was more than that. You saw something in me worth defending. Something I wasn't sure existed anymore until I met you and Lily." The admission hung between them, fragile and significant. Marcus studied her in the dim patio lights, not the formidable CEO, now just a woman who had found her way back to her true self after years of armor and isolation. Rachel used to say that everyone deserves someone who sees them clearly, Marcus said softly. Not just their surface, but who they really are underneath. Catherine's fingers tightened around her wine glass. Your wife sounds like she was very wise. She was, Marcus nodded. The smartest person I've ever known. Until Lily, maybe. That kid sees right through everyone. Catherine smiled. She gets that from you. You have the same gift. Their conversation drifted to plans for the foundation's expansion, the Westbrook renovation, Lily's upcoming soccer tournament. Comfortable, easy conversation that stretched late into the evening. When Catherine finally stood to leave, there was a reluctance in her movements. At the door, she paused. This feels right, doesn't it? This partnership. This friendship. Marcus heard the question beneath her words. Was he comfortable with their evolving relationship, whatever it was becoming? Were the boundaries clear enough, or were they blurring into something neither had anticipated? It feels right, he confirmed. Unexpected, but right. Catherine's relief was palpable. Good. I was worried. Marcus waited, but she didn't continue. Worried about what? Catherine rarely showed uncertainty, but now she hesitated. That you might feel obligated, that our professional relationship might make this personal connection complicated. Marcus understood her concern, the power differential, the potential perception that he was cultivating her friendship for professional gain. Catherine, you gave me a job because of my qualifications and perspective. That stands separate from whatever this is becoming. Whatever this is, Catherine repeated softly. That's the question, isn't it? Neither had a ready answer. The territory they were entering was uncharted for both. A friendship that might be evolving into something more complicated by their professional connection and the vastly different worlds they came from. One day at a time, Marcus suggested. No pressure, no expectations. Just authentic connection. Catherine nodded, seeming relieved by his framing. I can work with that. She reached out, squeezing his hand briefly. Good night, Marcus. After she left, Marcus stood on the porch watching her car disappear down the street. The evening had shifted something fundamental between them, acknowledging the potential for more without demanding definition or commitment. It felt both terrifying and exactly right. Inside, he checked on Lily sleeping peacefully with her brave pendant clutched in one hand. Everything he did, every decision he made began and ended with her well-being. Whatever developed between him and Catherine would have to honor that priority. His phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. Thank you for tonight, for being real in a world where that's rare, for reminding me who I used to be and helping me become who I want to be. Marcus replied, Same to you. Turns out ice queens and construction workers have more in common than either would have guessed. Her response came quickly. Less ice queen, more work in progress. Good night, Marcus. 6 months transformed the Rachel Hayes Foundation beyond recognition. What began as a modest Boston operation now spanned 5 cities, with a headquarters that occupied an entire floor of the Bennett Technologies building. Marcus's vision had expanded accordingly, from emergency assistance to systemic change. The foundation now operated job training programs, affordable childcare centers, and housing initiatives specifically designed for single-parent families. What hadn't changed was Marcus's commitment to maintaining a personal connection with the people they served. Today he sat across from Sophia Martinez, a widowed mother of 3 whose husband had died in a construction accident similar to one Marcus had narrowly survived years earlier. He recognized the hollow look in her eyes, grief mingled with panic about the future. Sophia clutched a stack of medical bills and past due notices, her hands trembling slightly. So they denied the workers' compensation claim. Marcus kept his voice gentle, professional, hiding the anger building inside him. Sophia nodded, eyes downcast. The company says he violated safety protocols, but Carlos always followed every rule. Always. Now they won't pay, and the hospital bills keep coming, and the landlord says we have 30 days to... Her voice broke. Marcus handed her a tissue, giving her a moment to compose herself. He'd heard variations of this story dozens of times since starting the foundation. Corporations exploiting technicalities to deny benefits, forcing grieving families into financial catastrophe on top of emotional devastation. The system is designed to wear you down, Marcus said quietly, to make you give up. But we're not going to let that happen, Sophia. Not this time. He made notes in her file, already formulating a plan. Emergency housing assistance, legal support for the denied claim child care scholarships for her kids. But more than anything, he recognized her need for hope, for someone to stand beside her in the fight ahead. Your husband was a craftsman, Marcus noted, seeing Carlos's profession listed in the file. A master carpenter. Sophia's expression softened for the first time. The best. He could look at a piece of wood and see what it wanted to become. His hands, they just knew. Marcus reached a decision. The Foundation's new workshop program needs instructors, people who can teach their craft to others. When you're ready, no pressure, but when you're ready, I'd like to talk about whether that's something you might consider. Your husband's skills living on through you, helping others rebuild their lives too. For the first time, a flicker of possibility crossed Sophia's face. Maybe. Someday. For now, I just need to keep my children in our home. We start there, Marcus promised. Everything else follows. After Sophia left with immediate assistance and appointments for further help, Marcus stared at her file, memories of Rachel's illness surfacing unbidden. The same avalanche of bills, the same corporate indifference, the same systems designed to profit from vulnerability. He'd navigated those waters alone. Sophia wouldn't have to. Amanda now. Boston director knocked on his door. Catherine's looking for you. Board presentation in 30 minutes. Marcus checked his watch, startled by how the morning had vanished. I'll be right there. How's Sophia's emergency housing request coming? Already processed, Amanda assured him. Rent's covered for 3 months while we work on the compensation appeal. At Bennett Technologies, Marcus found Catherine in her office reviewing their presentation. The past months had softened her corporate armor without diminishing her authority. She wore her power differently now, less as a weapon, more as a tool for change. The Ice Queen nickname had gradually faded from media coverage, replaced by corporate reformer and ethical innovator. You look troubled, Catherine observed, setting aside her tablet. Tough morning. Marcus sank into a chair across from her. Sophia Martinez, construction widow, 3 kids, denied compensation on a technicality. Catherine's expression hardened. Send me the details. I know people who can apply pressure to that company. Their partnership had developed its own rhythm, Marcus identifying individual injustices, Catherine leveraging her influence to address systemic failures. Together, they'd begun creating meaningful change in corporate practices across industries. Ready for the board? Catherine gestured to their presentation. Marcus nodded. 6 months of data. Impact metrics are solid. Cost per family decreasing as operations scale. The Milwaukee office opens next month ahead of schedule and under budget. Catherine smiled. You sound like a seasoned executive now. Remember when you thought quarterly reports were some kind of exotic corporate torture? Marcus laughed. Still do. But now I understand their purpose. Translating human impact into numbers that make sense to people who think in ROI and market share. The board presentation went smoothly. Even Robert Chambers, initially their harshest critic, had begun to recognize the business value of their ethical initiatives. The quarterly review ended with approval for all proposed initiatives and increased funding for the next fiscal year. Did Robert Chambers just admit he was wrong? Marcus asked afterward. Should we check outside for flying pigs? Catherine laughed. Progress happens in unlikely places. Speaking of which, how are the Westbrook renovations coming along? Let's find out, Catherine said, checking her watch. We have a walkthrough scheduled this afternoon. Stephen promised a big reveal. Westbrook Restaurant had remained closed for 5 months, undergoing a complete transformation under Stephen Crawford's supervision. The former manager, humbled by his fall from privilege, had embraced Catherine's vision with unexpected enthusiasm. They arrived to find the building's exterior completely reimagined, the intimidating facade replaced with warm, inviting architecture featuring large windows and an expanded outdoor seating area. Stephen greeted them at the entrance, pride evident in his bearing. "We've redesigned everything," he explained, leading them inside. "The main dining room still offers fine dining, but we've added a community cafe with affordable options, a teaching kitchen where local chefs offer classes, and a monthly program where families can experience fine dining regardless of their financial situation." Marcus took in the transformed space, impressed by how it balanced elegance with accessibility. The intimidating marble and crystal had been replaced with warm woods and natural light. The previously separate VIP section now housed a showcase for local artists and craftspeople. "The central innovation," Stephen explained, pointing to a wall of photographs, "is our community table program. Each night we reserve tables for families nominated by local organizations, including the Rachel Hayes Foundation. They receive the full Westbrook experience at no cost, served with the same respect and attention as our highest-paying guests." Catherine examined the photographs, families of all backgrounds enjoying meals together, their expressions reflecting joy and dignity rather than anxiety about belonging. She paused at one image in particular, a single father with his young daughter, their faces alight with happiness. "This philosophy extends to our hiring practices," Stephen continued. "We prioritize single parents, offering flexible schedules, on-site childcare during shifts, and career advancement opportunities. The kitchen staff includes graduates from the Foundation's culinary program." Marcus saw tears gathering in Catherine's eyes, though she quickly blinked them away. This was her mother's vindication. The rejection they'd experienced decades ago transformed into a space of radical inclusion. The broken promise finally fulfilled. "When does it open?" Marcus asked, already imagining the impact. 2 weeks, Stephen answered. "We're doing staff training now." He hesitated, then added, "I'd like to invite you and Lily for opening night, as honored guests, a small gesture toward making amends." Marcus searched for any hint of the former arrogance in Stephen's manner and found none. "We'd be happy to attend. Lily's been asking about this place for months." Catherine touched Marcus's arm lightly. "Speaking of Lily, aren't you supposed to pick her up early today?" "Soccer tournament this weekend." Marcus checked the time. "You're right, I should go." He turned to Stephen. "Impressive work." "Truly." As Marcus headed for the door, Catherine called after him. Family dinner night still on for tomorrow. The weekly tradition had become a highlight for all three of them. Cooking together, sharing stories, building something that resembled family in all but name. Each week, the boundaries between professional collaboration and personal connection blurred further. "Absolutely," Marcus confirmed. "Lily's requesting your famous lasagna." Catherine's smile brightened. "Tell her I've been practicing my technique. See you tomorrow." At Lily's school, Marcus found her waiting with her soccer gear, animated conversation with her coach, stopping abruptly at his approach. Lily's eyes widened slightly, a silent message passing between her and the coach. "What's going on?" Marcus looked between them, suspicious. "You two look guilty of something." Coach Anderson smiled innocently. "Just discussing tournament strategy. Lily's our secret weapon this weekend." Lily grabbed her bag quickly. "Ready, Dad? We need to pick up my new cleats before the store closes." In the car, Marcus glanced sideways at his daughter. "Want to tell me what you and Coach were really talking about?" Lily studied her fingernails with sudden fascination. "Soccer stuff. Strategy." "Lily," Marcus said gently, We don't keep secrets, remember? Lily sighed dramatically. Fine. Coach was helping me plan a surprise for you and Ms. Catherine. Marcus waited patiently for her to continue. It's our 1-year friendiversary, Lily explained. Since that night at the restaurant, I've been saving my allowance to take you both out to dinner. Coach Anderson was helping me make reservations. Marcus felt his heart swell with a mixture of pride and tenderness. That's incredibly thoughtful, Em. But you don't need to spend your allowance on us. Lily shook her head firmly. I want to. You both look happier now. I wanted to celebrate that. Marcus couldn't argue with her observation. The past year had transformed both his professional life and his personal happiness. Catherine had become an integral part of their lives, present at Lily's soccer games and school plays, helping with homework, joining them for movie nights and weekend adventures. Their weekly family dinners had expanded to include outings to museums, hikes in nearby state parks, even a weekend trip to a lakeside cabin where Catherine had surprised them both by revealing hidden talents for fishing and s'more making. That's very grown up of you, Marcus acknowledged. But how about a compromise? We celebrate at home instead and you keep your allowance for something special for yourself. Lily considered this. Can I still plan everything, decorations and stuff? Absolutely, Marcus agreed. It's your party. That evening after Lily was asleep, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from Catherine. Just saw the quarterly community impact report. Sophia Martinez's case resolution was brilliantly handled. Compensation approved and corporate policy changed. How do you do it? Marcus replied, the secret is caring enough to be relentless. Something I learned from a certain CEO. Catherine's response came quickly. Learning goes both ways. My board meeting with Mitchell Foods tomorrow will channel my inner Marcus Hayes, compassion with a spine of steel. Marcus smiled at her phrasing. Just be yourself. That's intimidating enough. 3 dots pulsed then. Lily mentioned something about an anniversary surprise this weekend. Marcus groaned. So much for secrets. She's planning a celebration for our friendiversary. 1 year since Westbrook. Catherine's reply took longer this time. Has it only been a year? Feels like I've known you both forever. The sentiment mirrored Marcus's own feelings perfectly. Time is funny that way, especially this past year. Another pause then. Marcus, do you ever wonder where this is going? Us, I mean. The directness of the question startled him. They had carefully danced around this topic for months, neither willing to risk the friendship and professional partnership they'd built by acknowledging the growing attraction between them. Marcus considered his answer carefully. All the time. But I've been afraid to ask. Didn't want to pressure you or complicate things. Catherine replied, Same. It's terrifying, isn't it? The potential to ruin something good by wanting something more. Marcus's heart raced as he typed, worth the risk. Her response was immediate. I'm beginning to think so. Before he could reply, another text came through. But not via text. Let's talk after Lily's surprise. Face to face. Marcus agreed, both relieved and anxious about the postponement. This conversation needed to happen in person with the space to navigate its complexities and implications. The next day brought unexpected complications. Catherine's meeting with Mitchell Foods, a potential corporate partner for the foundation's expansion, ran late, forcing her to cancel their weekly dinner. Then Lily's soccer teammate suffered an injury requiring emergency practice reconfiguration before the weekend tournament. By the time Marcus arrived home with Lily, both were exhausted and preoccupied. Lily flopped onto the couch with a dramatic sigh. Is Ms. Catherine still coming over tomorrow for my surprise? Marcus checked his phone for updates. That's still the plan, but remember she has that big presentation in New York next week. She might need to prepare. Lily sat up alarmed. But she has to come. I already made everything perfect. Marcus saw the genuine distress in his daughter's expression. She'll be here, Em. She wouldn't miss your surprise for anything. But what if she has to go to New York early? What if there's an emergency board meeting? What if— Marcus sat beside her, recognizing that Lily's anxiety went deeper than a canceled party. Ms. Catherine has become important to you, hasn't she? Lily nodded, tears welling unexpectedly. She remembers everything, Dad. My soccer schedule and my favorite ice cream and how I like my hot chocolate. And she looks at you like Mom used to. The last observation hit Marcus like a physical blow. He'd been so careful not to pressure Lily with his evolving feelings for Catherine, yet his perceptive daughter had seen it all along. I didn't know if it was okay to say that, Lily whispered, misinterpreting his silence. Are you mad? Marcus pulled her into a hug. Never. I could never be mad at you for being honest about your feelings, or for noticing things adults think they're hiding. Lily looked up at him hopefully. So, you like her too? Like you liked Mom? Marcus chose his words carefully. It's different. But yes, I care about Catherine very much. But nothing will ever happen unless you're completely comfortable with it. You come first always. Lily rolled her eyes in classic pre-teen fashion. Dad, I've been trying to get you two together for months. Why do you think I invented this whole friendiversary thing? Marcus stared at his daughter in astonishment. You've been— Oh, matchmaking. Lily nodded, suddenly looking very pleased with herself. Obviously. You both needed help. Grown-ups are so slow sometimes. Marcus burst out laughing, tension dissolving into genuine mirth. Lily Hayes, you are something else. Lily grinned. So tomorrow is important. Everything has to be perfect. Marcus mock saluted. Understood, boss. Operation Friendiversary is a go. The next evening, Marcus and Lily transformed their modest home according to Lily's exacting specifications. She had created handmade decorations, photos from their year together arranged in a timeline paper chains in Catherine's favorite colors, a banner reading Happy Friendiversary in glitter letters. The dining room table was set with their best dishes, candles, and fresh flowers. Marcus had contributed a special touch, framing Lily's original New Friends drawing from that first night, the one Catherine had carried in her pocket for weeks afterward. It would be his gift to her, a reminder of where their journey had begun. Catherine arrived precisely on time, looking uncharacteristically nervous as she carried a large gift bag and a smaller wrapped package. Her expression when she saw the decorated living room was worth every minute of preparation, surprise melting into genuine emotion. Lily bounded forward to greet her. Welcome to our Friendiversary celebration. 1 whole year since you saved us at the restaurant. Catherine knelt to accept Lily's enthusiastic hug. I didn't save you, sweetheart. We saved each other. The evening unfolded with Lily proudly directing her planned activities, a timeline game recounting memorable moments from their year together, a 3-course dinner she had helped prepare, and finally, an exchange of gifts. Lily presented Catherine with a handmade scrapbook documenting their adventures, complete with ticket stubs, photographs, and Lily's artistic embellishments. Catherine's voice wavered as she turned the pages. This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received. Lily beamed. Dad helped with the gluing, but I did everything else. Catherine's gifts proved equally thoughtful. New soccer equipment for Lily, including professional-grade cleats signed by her favorite player, and for Marcus a handcrafted wooden toolbox containing antique carpentry tools. These belonged to my grandfather, Catherine explained as Marcus examined the perfectly preserved implements. My mother saved them for years, hoping to give them to someone who would appreciate their craftsmanship. I can't think of anyone more deserving. Marcus ran his fingers over the smooth wood, recognizing the value beyond the monetary. This is incredible. Thank you doesn't seem adequate. Finally, Marcus presented the framed drawing to Catherine. Where it all began. The moment Lily saw something in both of us that we couldn't yet see in ourselves. Catherine held the frame reverently, I've kept a folded copy in my wallet this entire year, a reminder of the day my life changed course. After dessert, Lily made a show of yawning dramatically. I'm super tired from all this party planning. Think I'll go to bed early. Marcus suppressed a smile at her transparent maneuver. It's only 8 o'clock, Em. Lily doubled down, stretching elaborately. Soccer tournament tomorrow. Need my rest. Good night, Miss Catherine. Thanks for coming to my party. She hugged Catherine tightly, then whispered something in her ear that made Catherine's eyes widen slightly. Before Marcus could question it, Lily had disappeared upstairs, leaving them alone in the candlelit dining room. Catherine touched the frame holding Lily's drawing. Your daughter is rather obvious in her matchmaking efforts. Marcus laughed softly. Apparently, she's been planning this for months. What did she whisper to you just now? Catherine's cheeks colored slightly. She said, He likes you too, but he's scared. Don't let him chicken out. The honesty hung between them, removing the last barriers of pretense. Marcus took a deep breath. Smart kid. Terrifyingly perceptive. Catherine moved to the living room, settling on the couch. We should have that talk now. The one we've been avoiding. Marcus joined her, maintaining a careful distance. I'm not sure where to start. Catherine turned to face him directly. How about with honesty? This past year has been the happiest of my adult life. Being part of your lives, building the foundation, rediscovering who I really am, it's changed everything. And somewhere along the way, my feelings for you evolved beyond friendship or professional respect. Marcus felt simultaneously relieved and terrified by her directness. I felt the same way, but I've been holding back because complications. Catherine nodded, understanding. The professional relationship, the public scrutiny, the differences in our backgrounds. Lily. Always Lily first, Marcus confirmed. She's been through so much loss already. I couldn't introduce someone into her life who might disappear. Catherine's expression softened. I understand that better than you might think. My father left when I was 4. Every man after him who claimed to care eventually left too. Foster fathers, mentors, even my first business partner. I know what it does to a child. Her vulnerability cracked something open in Marcus's chest. So where does that leave us? Catherine reached for his hand, her fingers cool against his palm. It leaves us with a choice. Continue as we are, friends, colleagues, keeping that safe distance, or acknowledge what's happening between us and move forward carefully with Lily's well-being guiding every step. Marcus studied their intertwined fingers. It's not just Lily I'm worried about. Your world and mine, they're still fundamentally different. The board, your investors, the public perception. Catherine's grip tightened. Do you think I care about any of that? This past year has taught me what actually matters. The rest is just noise. Lily taught me something similar, Marcus admitted. After Rachel died, I thought my life would always be defined by what I'd lost. Lily showed me there could be more, that healing doesn't mean forgetting, just growing around the broken places. Catherine moved closer, the professional distance they'd maintained for a year dissolving. So what are you afraid of, really? Marcus met her gaze directly. That I'm not enough. That eventually you'll want someone who fits more naturally into your world. Catherine laughed softly. Marcus Hayes, for a perceptive man, you can be remarkably blind sometimes. I spent my entire adult life surrounded by people from my world. Shallow, ambitious people who valued wealth above character and status above genuine connection. You and Lily showed me a different way to live, with integrity, compassion, and authentic purpose. She touched his face gently. I'm not slumming it with you if that's what you're thinking. I'm finding my way home. The simple truth of her words washed away months of doubt and hesitation. Marcus closed the remaining distance between them. So we see where this goes. Catherine nodded, relief evident in her expression. Slowly, thoughtfully, with Lily involved in every step. And if the board objects to you dating an employee, Marcus raised an eyebrow. Catherine's smile turned mischievous. Then they can find another CEO. Some priorities aren't negotiable. Upstairs, Lily peered down through the banister railings, watching the adults whose lives she had helped reshape. She hadn't heard their words, but their body language told her everything she needed to know. Her plan had worked. She clutched her brave pendant, whispering to the memory of her mother, "I think they're going to be okay now, Mom." All of us. The following Monday, Marcus arrived at the foundation offices to find Sofia Martinez waiting for him. Her transformation from their first meeting was remarkable. Shoulders straighter, eyes clearer, a newfound determination in her bearing. "I've been thinking about your offer," she began. "The workshop program. Teaching my husband's craft. I want to do it." Marcus smiled, recognizing the healing that had begun. "We'd be honored to have you. When would you like to start?" Sophia straightened, something of her husband's pride visible in her posture. "Today. Right now. I've waited long enough to rebuild." As Marcus showed her to the workshop space, he felt a sense of completion. One circle closing as another began. Sophia's journey from victim to rebuilder mirrored his own. The foundation wasn't just helping others, it was creating a community of healing and growth where each person's transformation strengthened everyone else. Later that day, Catherine called from New York, where she was presenting their corporate ethics model to industry leaders. "How's everything in Boston?" Marcus smiled at the sound of her voice, no longer needing to hide his pleasure. "Sofia Martinez started today. Workshop program. She's already mentoring 3 other foundation clients." Catherine's pride came through clearly. "See, that's how change happens. One person at a time, each healing by helping others heal." "How's New York?" Marcus asked, hearing the background noise of the conference. "Surprisingly receptive," Catherine reported. 5 companies have already committed to implementing our model. The consortium is becoming reality." Marcus leaned back in his chair, feeling the rightness of their shared path. "I'm proud of you." Her response carried equal weight in its simplicity. "I'm proud of us. All 3 of us." In that moment, Marcus understood that dignity never truly depended on dollars. It lived in the courage to remain authentic, to extend compassion, to build connections across artificial divides. It survived in the wisdom of children who saw clearly what adults often missed, and sometimes most miraculously, it emerged from life's most painful moments, rejection, loss, failure, transforming them into opportunities for profound change. 1 year ago, a billionaire CEO had changed everything by refusing to accept injustice, but the greater transformation had come afterward, in the daily choices to prioritize people over profit, authenticity over appearance, connection over convenience. Small choices that multiplied across months and lives created a ripple effect of healing and hope. And it had all begun with 7 simple words from a child who refused to let the world diminish her father's worth. "It's okay, Daddy. We can leave."